In today's video, we are going to be reviewing the 7 upgrades that we think are essential for our overland or expedition vehicle. But before we dive into all of those, we have the Overland Expo that we're preparing to go to next week. So I'm gonna bring you along as I get some of these pieces of equipment and the truck set up ready for that adventure. So the first upgrade that we consider essential for our travels is auxiliary lighting. And we partnered with Baja Designs to build out our lighting package. We do a lot of travel and we're often getting into campsites and locations when it's late at night because we travel a lot after work. Because of that, the stock headlights just don't put out enough light to find ideal campsites. So we built out this lighting package to cover all of the zones, which include fog and dust or snow, which we have these awesome SAE Baja Design fogs. The light pattern on that is insane. It's a nice bar, horizontal. And the cool thing about those is we can actually drive them on the road and they're totally road legal. So we can run those all day to give an additional output. Zone 2 is going to be cornering lights, and we went with a couple LP4s on the ditch lights. Again, we're looking for campsites late at night, and if we're in the trees or secluded locations, oftentimes those front-facing lights aren't going to let us see those pull-offs. The ditch lights solve that problem. And zone 3 is going to be your midfield lighting. I thought these XL80Rs with the wide beam pattern was going to fill that, but we tested them out last night and just throws this big diffuse light, which is great, but we want something with a little bit more reach. So the cool thing about Baja Designs is they have this U-service technology where you're able to swap out the lenses, swap out the gaskets, but you can change those out on the fly as you need. And we happen to have a set of driving combo lens covers that we're gonna throw on this today. And then for the zone 4 or distance, we do have a set of spots, and we're running these LP9s right here. And then we also have LP9 Racer, which I think they call their zone 5 in Baja Design technology, which is just this incredibly far distant light. I want to swap out that lens cover, and we want to tighten up all the bolts because we loosened it up last night to do all the aiming. So let's dive in. All right, so taking a look at what's going on back here, we do need to tighten up these brackets, the bolts right here, the side Allen keys. We do have some more brackets right there on the bumper. We're just gonna snug all those up real quick, and these should be aimed exactly where we want them. Throw a little zip tie on some of the cabling as well. Little bonus tip, we keep this little wax canvas tarp with us. It's perfect for working on the rig, makes it so you're not rolling around the dirt here. This is a new build, new bumper, so we're gonna wanna double check probably all of these things after about, I don't know, a couple hundred miles. Nice thing about the new build, there's tons of room underneath it to work. But we're just gonna get a little zip tie routed. We have these little stickies that are perfect for this. Okay, so these lights are solid, they're not going anywhere. Last thing to do is let's change out the actual light cover. All right, so we're gonna be changing out this wide pattern lens for the driving combo, which has a spot and a wide mixed in. So they give you U-service lens kit, instructions how to do that. New lens, in this case, we're gonna be turning it around this way. So you're going to have the spot on top, wide on the bottom. And then they give you a new O-ring as well. And that O-ring is just to ensure that you have a moisture block barrier there. So it still retains that waterproof rating down to 8 feet. So we don't need to change out the O-ring. The one that's in there is brand new. So we're just gonna swap out this lens real quick, and we should be done with the light upgrade for the truck before we head to the expo. The cool thing about these kits is they're actually designed to be replaced while the lights are on the vehicle. So everything is front accessible. We don't have to reach around the back. We don't have to take the lights out, and we should be able to just pull this lens right out. There you go. And then we have the lens. Perfect. So you can see here the O-ring is still in place around those lights. So we're just going to swap out our lens, give it a little wipe down, and put it right on. The cover slots right in. But that is it. Number 2 on our list for essential upgrades that we have is recovery. 2-in-1, honestly, these are things that we just think of must-haves, and this entire list is not in any particular order, but recovery is essential. And in a previous video, we talked about having appropriately sized for your vehicle tow straps or kinetic ropes and D-rings. In this video, I want to specifically talk about winches. We are big believers in having a winch appropriately sized for your vehicle. In this case, we partnered with ComeUp Winches. They hooked us up with a Seal 20RS Trail Edition, which is a remote control synthetic rope that also includes their Boss hook at the end, which looks fantastic. So we just got this. I haven't used it yet. I want to test out both the cable attachment to make sure I know how to use it, and then also make sure that their wireless remote is paired and working, because I want to make sure this works now, not when I need to use it out in the field. So let's go ahead and dive in, see if we can get this thing running. All right, so the first thing we have to do is remove this winch cover. This thing is solid, it's not attached, but just get out of the way. And then we're gonna try the cable attachment. The connecting cable or remote cable is right there. So let's go ahead and plug this in. All right, that looks good. And we're gonna see if this comes out. And that looks great. Let's pull it out a little more. That's looking real good. And I'm gonna go ahead and just keep some tension on this rope and let's pull it back in. It's not super tight. So I think we will spool this later. So to prevent your cables from binding, you always want to spool them attached to something. I'll usually attach it to a tree or a car, and then I'll apply the brakes. Now let's try the remote. So the remote, we should just have to hold the power button for 5 seconds. We should see a green light if it works properly. I do see a green light. And then we have out and in for the cable. So let's go ahead and test out. It seems to be working. And then let's go ahead and test the in functionality. And there we go. Give it a little snugness. All right, that is tight. That's not going anywhere. That's solid. The winch looks to be working, so that's exactly what I like to see. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, and we can now store this stuff in the truck. Winches, recovery gear, super important. Knowing how to use these tools, just as important. So get out there, train with them, practice with them. We're going to the Overland Expo next week. They do a lot of instructional training on how to use this type of equipment. I definitely recommend getting out there and checking it out. All right, number 3, a way to deflate and inflate your tires. One of the easiest ways to get more traction and get out of a situation where you might be stuck is just to deflate your tires. That's great, and you can do that a lot of different ways. You can just grab a little stone, press it on the inside of your stator valve and release air pressure. There's definitely tools designed to release air pressure as well. I would recommend having some of those. And that can be as simple as a tire pressure gauge. One side of this can check your tire pressure. The other side, you can use to push in that stator valve and deflate your tires. But at the end of the day, when you get unstuck and you have to drive, 10, 20, 100 miles home, you need to have a way to inflate your tires. Your tires, and especially on a vehicle like this that weighs 10,000 pounds unloaded, and we're almost at 18,000 pounds with our camper on it, they're only rated at their payload capacity when they're at the recommended PSI. In this case, we have some Michelin 41-inch tires right here. These tires are rated at 7,390 pounds only when they're at 94 PSI cold. They're currently at 52 PSI, so we need to air these up before we put our camper on. To do that, we have this all-top 4x4 accessories air compressor. The nice thing about this is you get a higher flow rate. So CFMs on this is somewhere around, I think it was somewhere around like 12 CFMs, so that's 12 cubic feet per minute, I believe. And what we need to do here is just go ahead and hook it up to the battery, and then we'll be able to go ahead and air this tire up. So cool test. We have not actually used this on large tires like this. There's a lot of volume. I'm really curious to see if this is going to actually air it up because of that extra volume and the duty cycle that this is gonna have to operate at. So let's give it a test and see how long it takes to air up from 55 PSI to 94 on a 41-inch military tire. go ahead and attach our hose. But the nice thing about this system is we can actually power it on, set the PSI we want. So it's currently set for 30 PSI. We're gonna bump that up all the way up to the recommended cold PSI, which is 94. And then we simply hit power. That should be set, and that'll air up as we go. All right, the cool thing, it's gonna read our pressure as well. Not sure if you can see there, but the current pressure is 52.4 PSI. Let me get my stopwatch out. All we have to do is hit power at that point. So we have the stopwatch. We're gonna go ahead and hit power, same time. And we'll let that camera play and see how long it takes to go from 52.4 PSI to 94 PSI. All right, 8 minutes, 45 seconds to go from 52.4 PSI to 94 PSI. That's not bad. So having a way to air up your tires, very important. Like you said, it just took over 8 minutes to fill this up from 52-ish PSI to 94 PSI. I'm gonna go around, finish airing up the rest of the tires. But again, you don't need anything fancy. You can get, you know, small air compressor at your local Walmart or Home Depot. This one works for us. It looks like it's gonna work to fill up these large tires. I wasn't sure if that's the case. It does, so we're gonna run it for the other 3 and move on to the next essential upgrade. All right, number 4, jumper cables or a jumper power bank. This is the Zeus from Uncharted Supply Co. I already made a video about this, go check it out. I recommend one or the other or both in our case. I think they serve a slightly different purpose depending on what you're doing. Pair of jumper cables are relatively cheap though. You can pick them up anywhere again. Definitely keep them in your truck. You never know when you're gonna need a jump. You're a lot more likely to find someone willing to give you a jump, but they probably won't have their own jumper cables. So this is perfect in that situation. So number 4, jumper cables. All right, so for upgrades 5, 6, and 7, we need to come inside the truck. But before we dive into those, we need to install this little plate. So this plate's gonna go right up here on top. That's gonna allow us to mount things like RAM mounts or RAM bolts for things like GoPros or GPS, which is definitely something we're gonna talk about in a minute. So let's go ahead and get this installed, and then we can move on to our next 3 favorite upgrades. All right, so for our 5th upgrade that we consider essential in the truck, it's going to be GPS. And in this case, we have the Garmin Tread XL Overland Edition. I have a handheld Garmin InReach, love that. I've traveled all over the world with that, down to South America, Southern Brazil, all over North America, and it works great. This is basically just a bigger, better version of that. So for instance, view map, we use this all the time. This is our current location. It also is an active tracking of where we go. Currently, we have bigger tires on our rig. The speedometer right here is very good. So I actually use this to tell our speed because the speedometer on our truck is not correct. Other things that we're able to do, navigation works very well. Some cool things that it actually has iOverlander on this. So if we're looking for camping, lodging services, so say for example, we need to fill up, we need propane, we need to dump, we can just click on this. It's going to give us these sites that are associated with iOverlander that show where there's propane, where there's water, where there's dump sites. So sure, you can use this on your phone. It's a free application, of course, but it's nice to have this right on the GPS because if we're looking for, say, wild camping, which I'm a huge fan of, we can come here, we find some BLM land, we just hit go, and next thing you know, we're navigating to that route. So very useful asset associated with that. If we go into the applications, you can set up cameras. So we actually do have a backup camera. It's their Wi-Fi camera. I wouldn't recommend that. We've had a lot of inconsistency issues. As you can see, it's not even connecting right now, so we'll exit out of that. If you go into adventure mode, you get a bunch of different tools. As you can see here, we do have inReach. So that's basically going to be your satellite text messaging. If you don't have any way to connect with people while you're off grid and out of cell signal, I would highly recommend inReach or Spot or other similar tools. And then besides that, you could actually use this as a power switch. So we don't have this right now, but if you had the Garmin power switch relay system, you can use this as a touchscreen to power any external devices. We might have to upgrade and get some of those in the future. And 6 on upgrades, it's a little weird and we don't use it a lot, but I know of people that have had this really kind of save their bacon, if you will. But that's going to be a dash cam. So we went ahead and got the Garmin Dash Cam. There's a lot of great options out there, but this is more of insurance and peace of mind. When you're traveling on the road a lot, eventually accidents are going to happen, whether you get in an accident or an accident happens in front of you. Having a dash cam that we can share the information of what actually happened so that we're not second guessing what we saw later on is extremely valuable. So definitely look into a dash cam. Number 7 of essential upgrades that we consider a must for us is actually more in the convenience category of things, and that's going to be a smart AI box. So this was actually sent to us by a company called OneCarSterio, and what this is if you have a car that has Android Auto or Apple CarPlay on it, you could actually plug this box directly into the USB-C cable associated with your car, and it basically turns in your nav screen or your touchscreen display into a full functional tablet. And that's really important because if you have one of the newer Fords, or in our case, the Super Duty, you'll notice that the actual audio and CarPlay functionality is kind of lackluster. We've had it disconnect on us numerous times, unfortunately, just in the factory settings, or it won't connect one day, it'll connect the other. Needless to say, this actually helps quite a bit with connectivity issues because it is plugged in directly to the car via USB-C cable. We then Bluetooth or Wi-Fi into this device to our phone, and then it connects just like a normal CarPlay would in that case. So you can use it full normal functionality that's in your pickup, use it for phone calls, text messaging, navigation, etc. But then the other cool thing is that you can start downloading apps and entertainment services. So let's take a look at what that looks like in our use case. This is the device right here. So OneCarSterio smart AI box. It's very simple, very small. It's got a fan built into it. I'm not sure if you can see that, but we're just gonna plug this in via USB-C into our car. It does have room for a SD card, so if you wanted to increase the size of storage, we haven't had to use that yet. All you need to do then is simply go into your settings. You would connect to this just like you would a phone. So we see we're connected to Deidre's phone. We have this smart AI box that pops up. Let's go ahead and click on that and convert to the smart AI box as essentially our phone for the Ford services. You'll see the boot screen, and give it just a minute. This is the home service. If you want to just use this like your normal CarPlay would or Android Car Auto, you would just go to Speed Play. You click on that. It's going to load your phone and connectivity. It takes just a second to do it, but then you're going to get your normal navigation controls, your audio controls, all the other features that we usually use. In this case, you'll see that Google popped up. So we're using Google Maps. We have audiobooks available. We have phone, make your calls, and all of your other traditional apps that you would have on either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So also very cool. We click on this function menu to take us home. It has a few different areas that you can go to, and we'll go into settings to just take a quick look, because one of the cool features here is you can actually connect to Wi-Fi. In our case, we connect to our camper's Wi-Fi all the time, and that's going to enable us to use this much like you would use a tablet if you're traveling and you have a Wi-Fi hotspot. We're going to go back home. And then now we're going to go to all apps. So this is kind of fun because you can see we actually downloaded a few apps. So we have the APK Pure app site. We have the Play Store that you could go to. And those are the two main locations where we've used to download applications. But we've downloaded things like Disney Plus, Netflix, YouTube, Zoom. Yes, I have taken Zoom calls from my truck, which is pretty awesome. Chrome, if we want to do web browsing, super powerful. We tried Firefox. There was some limitations. It didn't work quite as well, but Chrome worked really well for us. Our use case, for example, let's say we want to watch some anime, or, we just got to a location and we want to relax, take a break, fill up on fuel, and catch a quick episode. I'm a big fan of anime. They're like 17-minute episodes long, so always entertaining to see what's available. and give it a quick watch. So let's check out my profile. 1 second, they're increasing the power level, so we haven't loaded this in quite a while. I'd be curious if we actually had to do an update, and it does prompt you to do updates just like you would use an application on your phone. So I'm not sure what this anime is, but let's go ahead and give it a click. I'm rushing this a little bit, you know, not giving it exactly time to load, but let's see how it works. And this is an anime I haven't seen, so hopefully the quality is good for you all, but you should be able to get an idea of what we're working with. Let's turn up the volume.
Command, this is Alpha 2. Nothing unusual to report at point 1.
Alpha 2, this is Command. Continue your observation mission.
So there you go. I mean, as you can see, it works. It isn't as fast as a tablet or a phone or a laptop. Again, you know, big caveat there, but it works. We're able to use so many different applications and functionality that we would never get out of our typical truck. Which is kind of sweet in a lot of ways. Not sure what everything does yet. There's this EasyCon. Obviously, we can watch videos that are on our phone or Bluetooth from phone, Bluetooth music. So again, normal functionality. I think this is a plus. I think there's a lot of these types of items out here, but again, this one from OneCarSterio has been working well for us. I think it's a solid product. All right, so I think that's it for this device. I mean, we've had a good experience with it for the most part. We've ran it hard. We've had it going for like 7 hours at a time on trips. We have had the occasional shutdown of the actual system, probably after about 3 to 5 hours of driving and letting it run, doing like a live stream or podcast nonstop. We have had it kind of restart. I think that was probably because it overheated. It was hot in the truck, and we had it stuffed away with a lot of stuff on top of it. So just be aware, maybe keep it in a vented location. And then sometimes we will have some connectivity issues, very rare. But again, I think that's probably the Ford system and less of this item. All right, so that's it for our review of those 7 essential upgrades. You know, all of these are fantastic. Some of them make our life a little bit more enjoyable. Some of us make our truck more robust and more capable and going further longer. At the end of the day, we love all these. There's some variant associated or out there for all of these products that you could probably find. Find ones that fit your needs and that work for you. If you guys are interested in seeing or hearing more about any of these items here, leave a comment down below. I'll see if I can do a more detailed review of some of the products. And then if you want to see the build in the truck, as you might have been able to tell, there is a bit of an upgrade on the truck right now. We're going to be at the Overland Expo West next Friday through Sunday. If you're in the area, stop by, come say hello, check out the rig, and we'd love to chat and discuss more with you guys. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, follow along, and we'll catch you all on the next one.